There's a saying that says that imitation is the sincerest form of flattery. Well, PD, I hope you are flattered. I am out here in nature, and I have my vest on, and I'm not going to talk to you about birds, and I'm not going to talk to you about trees. So just everybody take a deep breath. Although I do love those two things. What I'd like to talk to you about today is mushrooms. You might say, what on earth are you going to say in a thought from the heart on mushrooms, a fungus? Well, here goes. I want to share with you today about morel mushrooms. Let's see if I can do this right. There we go. Morel mushrooms are these guys. My kids say they look sort of like a brain that grow in the ground around this time of year, and they're fascinating. And you can see in the growth of the morel mushrooms God's complexity in how he created Earth, because it just doesn't exactly make sense, because morel mushrooms grow primarily under a few select tree species. So if you know where some slippery elm trees are, or tulip poplar, or maybe some apple trees, and you look underneath, you might find morels. But you don't just find morels under those trees, you specifically find them under those tree species if the trees are losing some of their bark. And I know this sounds like I'm just making up some kind of crazy nonsense about these mushrooms, but it's true. You can watch some YouTube videos and you can learn a lot more than I know even about finding morels. Well, anyhow, my family and I, especially the kids, have really gotten into this spring going out and trying to find these mushrooms. And actually they're significantly better at it than I am, mainly just because they're, I think, closer to the ground. But anyhow, we go out and we find these mushrooms. And what we do is we don't look for the mushrooms. You could spend, days out searching through the woods just looking on the ground for morel mushrooms and you wouldn't find them. What you do if you're looking for morels is you first look for trees. And so you look for the right tree species, you look for them to be losing their bark, and then you look on the ground kind of surrounding those tree species. And what I found is I think there's a really fascinating parallel between looking for and searching for these morel mushrooms. And this passage that I want to share with you from Matthew chapter 6, it says this. You're probably familiar with it. It says, "Seek first his kingdom and his righteousness, and all these things will be given to you as well." And so I didn't mention earlier, but morel mushrooms, they're delicious. You fry them up in some butter, a nice cast iron skillet, and I think my son could eat like 20 of them in 20 seconds or less. And they're just, they're so good and so wonderful to eat and so fun to find and participate in. And Matthew 6 says, "Seek first his kingdom and his righteousness, and all these things will be added to you." And the reason I think that verse is connected with looking for these morel mushrooms is because when looking for the morels, you first look for the trees. And then underneath the trees, you found kind of rightly ordered the delicious things that you can gather and eat and share and just have fun and enjoy in. And I think in life, it works the same way with God's righteousness. When we seek first his kingdom and his righteousness, what we're doing is we're ordering our priorities correctly. We're looking for the tree first, and the rest of the goodness comes underneath of that. You see, if we misorder or wrongly prioritize what's happening in our life, what happens is we put, say, relationships, or we put finances, or we put any of a number of other things, personal, pride or fame, above seeking first God's kingdom and God's righteousness. And then all of those things, if we do it wrongly, if we seek those things above God, then they are empty. They don't bring any sort of sense of fulfillment or fullness. But if we seek first God's kingdom, if we look to him first, then, oh wow, can we enjoy, our relationships, and can we enjoy the other things, because God is fully able to satisfy all of our needs, and all those other things are a bonus. They're the delicious morel mushrooms underneath. We first look to God, and then everything else kind of follows rightly after that. And so my encouragement to you today, I don't know where you're at. I can't see you. I wish I could again. I wish I could see you right now to kind of see that maybe, the pandemic has you all sorts of concerned, and you're realizing that your priorities are sort of messed up, or maybe, nothing has changed and you're at a decent place or whatever. In either case, I just want to encourage us all to seek first, to rightly order, to put God first in our lives, and then just enjoy the deliciousness of all that can follow after that, without kind of the need to make those things an idol before God. I pray that you have a great week. Thanks, and we'll see you hopefully very, very soon. God bless.